along my gut one last time. I turn to face an empty space where you used to lie. I look for the spark that lights the dark through a teardrop in my eye.
Brilliant.
Look at this book. Look at this book. What a job they do at Preston. And they even managed to make me look presentable in the back, which is wonderful. Photoshop. The book is divided into 3 sections, and the first section is called the Moongate Sonnets. And they're what you would technically call a free sonnet, I suppose, because it's a rhyming scheme that I've made up myself. I wrote the first 3 many years ago, and they were all about 20 lines long, and they kept kind of telling me, you know, we want to be more formal in this. I thought, man, I think these things want to be sonnets. And being from the hood, outside of Belfast, and being brought up in a real working class environment, the idea of writing a sonnet as a poet was a bit too upwardly mobile for me. But they wanted to be 14 lines long, and they start with 2 rhyming couplets, which is, I don't know if I've ever seen a sonnet that starts with 2 rhyming couplets. And so I just developed my own little sonnet rhyming and half rhyming scheme for these. And there's ended up being 16 of them. I wanted to write 14 because I knew that for the Italians, 7 sonnets, a suite of 7 sonnets is called a crown of sonnets. And so they're written for this elderly man who was really my friend and hero, to be honest, a man called Billy Montgomery, or William Montgomery. as Billy. And I wanted to do a double crown, literally, you know, a crown of sonnets for him and a crown of sonnets for me, as it were. And then when I was finishing these sonnets over here, I realised that there needed to be two more. And so I kind of call them like wreath sonnets, you know, like they kind of wreath it at the start and finish of the sequence. So that's the first section. So I'm going to read a couple from the first section, and then we'll do some music, we'll do the second section, etc. So this is taking me back to Ireland. Billy was an extraordinary man who worked in Harland and Wolff shipyard all his life. The shipyard that built the Titanic, famously. And his father worked in Workman Clark, which was the shipyard beside Harland and Wolff. And then he moved into Harland and Wolff as well. So the family were real working class Belfast shipyard men. And he was just extraordinary. I moved out beside him on a country area called Island Magee. And I moved into this row of terrace cottages with my young family. And
not terrorist.
Not terrorist, no terrorist. We'll talk about the terrorists later. But beautiful old row of, you know, blacksmiths' cottages, you know, 400 or 500 years old, but very cheap. And with the big thick walls and the low ceilings and the beams and all of that. And I was with my ex-wife and I were sitting with no furniture, nothing, and we're sitting in the living room. The furniture hadn't been delivered, you know. It was a really cold, dark, rainy night, and you suddenly thought to yourself, what have we done? Why have we come here? You know, it really felt like, have we made a mistake? And there was these lovely cottage windows to the house, like half window, you know, you push the half window out, literally. And at that moment where you're almost in tears thinking, we've made a horrible mistake, you heard this. It was Billy rapping the window with a coin, with a coat over his head because it was so rainy and dark outside. And I thought, who the heck is this? It kind of made me angry because it scared us, you know. And I went over and pushed the window out, and he pulled back, and then he come up, as the poem will tell you, into the window. And he just looked at us and went, what brought you to a place like this? So that was the basis of one of the first of these sonnets. It's called The First Hello. Openings and closings, beginnings and endings, windows. I first shook his cold hand, and our coffee face loomed at the pane, right when it seemed our rural dream might perish. I pushed the half window out, and in he swam, surfacing from the darkness like a moon-eyed fish. Tell me, what brought you to a place like this? I leaned full forward, face to face, and surprised myself by saying, Jesus. Pulling back, he studied me from tip to toe and sighed, son, I'll be glad if that's the case. That window which saw the first hello was the window where I'd have to watch him go. So I don't want to cry tonight, but hopefully I won't cry. That's like willing myself to cry, and it's very hard to read these poems, but I last saw him at the window as well. He was extraordinary. He crossed the political divide back home. He was from the middle of Belfast, real hard working class area, close to Tigers Bay. If you've ever heard of Tigers Bay, my goodness, what a place that is. Really, really tough. And so he was nobody's fool, you know, but he remarkably, from the northern Scots-Irish Protestant side of the house, which is the side of the house back home that we were both brought up in, he loved soccer, football as we call it, and he became the unpaid, in his own time, the unpaid groundsman and second 11 coach for Cliftonville Football Club, and that's the notorious Catholic Belfast team. And so he literally risked his life to cross the divide to go to Cliftonville, and he was actually blown up. The IRA tried to kill him. They put a bomb in the tunnel, and he was the only person on the grounds, and he said it blew him up the tunnel, but he survived and he went straight back. It didn't deter him. So he's a real hero, you know. He was also a mason, and I used to joke him about Freemasonry because a lot of my friends from home would be masons, the guys I played rugby with or went to school with. But I don't like secret societies. There's nothing against masons and us people, but I just don't like the idea of secret societies. So I would always joke Billy about it, you know, yeah, I'll mason you. And he would always say, I'm not allowed to talk about that, don't know what you're talking about, you know, and we would laugh about it. But there's a reference in this one I'm going to read for you now about him being blown up, as it were, to the Masonic at the start, I suppose. It's called The Grindsman. It's number 5 of these sonnets. And believe it or not, Cliftonville Soccer Stadium was actually called Solitude. That's what it's called, Solitude Stadium. Wonderful. You know, it's a gift for any poet. The groundsman, his right foot firmly planted on the square, he crossed lines to tend the green rectangular of Cliftonville's Solitude Stadium. Such volunteering was a Lundy sin. But he had no time for the balaclava crowd, anonymous assassins whose faceless death squads had no provable place in a province plagued by the shroud. Both sides were as good or as bad as the other. Protestant Lone Ranger, it was no bother when some cowboys blew him head over heel out of the tunnel onto the field like a bloody big ball of tumbleweed. It wouldn't take long for his wounds to heal. I got rid of the television for about 8 years. I just at one point got fed up with watching television, and I you know, just thought, let's try and do without this thing, you know. So it led to a lot more reading and, you know, my kids listening to music and drawing and doing art, and it was an extraordinary time in my life. But Billy, I would never deprive my kids of television. It wasn't some cult thing, you know what I mean? And so Billy would always make sure that my kids got to see the cartoons. After school, they would come running off the bus at the end of this country lane, and they would just literally throw their bags in the hall and straight into Billy's. It was like their grandfather, you know. I always say Molly kidnapped me here. She says I kidnapped her, but I mean, I'm still here. I'm not back in Ireland, you know. Anyway, it's just called As I Roved Out. The great Christy Moore of Planksty fame would have made this one particularly famous. So As I Roved Out. I want to wear you, me pretty fair maiden, to wear you, me honey. I want to wear you, me pretty fair maiden, to wear you, me honey. She answered me quite modestly, I am my mother's darling, with me till I am. For diddle da, diary fondle diddle dairy o. I won't you come to me mother's house when the moon is shining clearly. I won't you come to me mother's house when the moon is shining clearly. I'll open the door and I'll let you in, and the devil the one will hear lost within the terraria. For a diddle da, diary fondle diddle dairy o. So I went to her house in the middle of the night, and the moon was shining clearly. So I went to her house in the middle of the night, and the moon was shining clearly. She opened the door and she let me in, and the devil the one did hear lost within the terraria. For a diddle da, diary fondle diddle dairy o. Then she took me horse by the bridle and the bit, and she led into the stable. Oh, she took me horse by the bridle and the bit, and she led
Oh, and when will you return again? And when will we get married? Oh, and when